Welcome back to the AOR F1 Championship. We're at the Circuit de Catalunya for the 4th round of this 13th season. My name is Justin, and alongside me for this Spanish Grand Prix, it's once again AliK.
I am indeed, and the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya, an ever-present on the modern Formula 1 calendar, and the site of one of the strangest incidents we have ever seen in AOR history last season in Season 12, when Snowy had a few problems at Turn 10 and ended up going off-roading and getting lost in the infield section, then being disqualified from the race, which is one of the strangest things I have ever watched. Hopefully we see a little bit less of that today, but if you've watched any of the previous 3 races, you'll know that the racing this season has been as good as it's ever been, so hopefully we'll see more of that today.
Yep, really looking forward to that, and Snowy getting a bit of a cult following after that one. I know everybody was really rooting for Snowy at the end of last season. So anyway, moving on though, after Cupid's win in China, the Mercedes driver has shot up to 3rd in the standings, ahead of both Renaults after a disappointing weekend for TRL Limitless last time out. The other 2 race winners are the only ones with more points than Cupid. Martin is in 2nd and should be proud of his fight through the field in China to finish on the podium despite qualifying 5th. The man at the top of the tables, however, should come as no surprise, is the Flying Finn, back in control of the championship, but with a tiny gap of just 6 points, he'll be looking to finish ahead of the Red Bull of Martin in today's race. Enough about the championship, though. Let's turn our attention toward the business at hand, starting with the side-by-side comparison and full qualifying report.
Here we are at Spain today, looking at laps between Limitless and Falcon. Both of them are on the soft tyre and opening up the DRS, coming down the long pit straight, down into turn 1. Both looking to brake at the 100 metre board. Falcon's got a little bit of traffic. Both drivers selecting 3rd gear there for turn 1. Get traffic getting out of the way for Falcon there, but he hooks it nicely up into the inside there. Runs it out wide. Looks like he took a bit more speed through the corner than Limitless, and coming up just before the sector split, you can see Falcon's ever so slightly ahead of Limitless there. Not clipping the apex as well as Limitless there though, and that might gain Limitless a bit of time through this middle sector. Both drivers using 2nd gear and short shifting up early on the apex for the best traction. And coming up to this corner now, Falcon chooses 3rd gear, gets very high up onto the curb there, and that could have cost him speed there. Again, difference of gear, Falcon dropping it down into 5th gear for that fast right-hander. Limitless holding it in 6th and maybe take a bit more speed through the corner, and they are neck and neck at the 150 metre board there, nothing to choose between them. Coming into the final sector now, Limitless gets his car to that apex a bit better than Falcon there, and both drivers trying to throw it out wide and chuck it back in for a late apex around that long right-hander. Only a couple of corners left to go now. Drivers going to be aggressive on the curbing in this final sector to try and eke out as much lap time as they can. Both drivers all over the curbs there, and coming through the final corner here and coming across the line, we'll see what the difference is, and that's Limitless slightly ahead, just over a 10th ahead of Falcon there, starting P3 and Falcon P6.
So taking a look at the grid for the Spanish Grand Prix, and once again it was a Mercedes 1-2 with the Flying Finn leading home TSR Cupid, and again both of those drivers looking very strong in qualifying, and they appear to be once again the 2 fastest drivers this weekend. Up in P3 we have TRL Limitless, who's looking to come back after a disappointing race in China. Surprised by another strong qualifying performance up in P4, with TRL Martin a little way down the order down in P5. Then we have the 2 manners of RS Falcon and Franglish in P6 and 7. Then we have the pole man from Bahrain, VBR StreeZ, all the way down in P8. Second Renault of Jason97 F1 in P9, then Killer Whale rounding out the top 10 in the Haas. Lucky Dog 2000 now will be the first man with 3 tyre choice in P11. Stu will line up in 12th, just ahead of AOR Raikkonen and WCR Kubica. Then we have CR63, TRL Williams, 6 Skills, and then Burnout F1, Cyril Hamilton and AOR Reversal were unable to set a time in qualifying, and STS F1 Alonso will actually be spectating this race. So now it is time for the Spanish Grand Prix.
Welcome to sunny Catalunya for the start of the 4th round of the 13th season of the AOR F1 Championship. We have 21 drivers on the grid for today's 33-lap race and a 0% chance of rain. The Mercedes drivers have locked out the front row with Finn on pole, and once again, Martin languishes on the 3rd row of the grid behind Limitless and Suphrize Meh. Who do you give odds of leading, I should say, Ali, after the long run down towards turn 1 and indeed the first couple of corners?
Yeah, it is a very long run down in towards turn 1, potentially seeing some Hamilton versus Rosberg stuff between the two Mercedes drivers right at the front. It is perfectly set up for something like we saw in the real life 2016 race, but two main overtaking opportunities around this circuit, into turn 1 with the first DRS zone, then into turn 10 as well. It's not the longest of straight, so you've got to be pretty close coming out of turn 9, but it is still an overtaking opportunity, and this is some weird things going on the formation lap, but strategies, we're looking at seeing pretty much a one-stop from everybody. Soft hard is likely what the guys in the top 10 are going to do, and then medium hard if you're outside the top 10, so we'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, and with no chance of rain, of course, strategy is going to play a bit of a heavy hand in today's festivities, so everybody is going to have to be on their A game as far as strategy is concerned. I'm sure all of these guys have figured out what is their preferred way around this circuit for the 33 laps that await as we're sitting on the grid now, waiting for the final car, just pulling up to the grid now, and that is Alonso, who was the one that was doing a bit of snowy style exploration during the formation lap there, but he has found his way to his grid slot, and we're preparing to go racing now. And again, it is the Flying Finn on pole position, on board with Lucky Dog 2000 now, who starts just outside the top 10, and crucially on those medium tires, the 5 lights are out and they are away. And it looks like a decent start, but Martin has shot off into the barrier. Not really sure what happened there. I'm sure we'll get a replay of some kind from that. And Alonso as well, after those issues, has backed out. He's out of the race as well. Limitless now up into 3rd position, just following the 2 Mercedes cars. And I do believe that something has gone on with Martin that has caused some confusion here at the start of this race. But meanwhile, Limitless launching an attack on Cupid up the inside of turn number 4, forces him a little bit wide, gets on the throttle, back end trying to step out from him. Cupid comes back at him for the inside line, down the hill into turn number 5, and Limitless tries to go around the outside, can't quite work it out there. And all the while, the leader, Flying Finn, is off into the distance. Burnout F1 making a little bit of contact at the exit of turn 5, and here is the onboard with Martin. And there are some very strange things going on with that Red Bull, Ali.
Yeah, it appears he's had some severe disconnection issues, and he's having all kinds of internet problems, and there are some weird things going on with the timing as well, as RS Falcon is being passed into turn 10 as he hits Franglish, his teammate who's got up the inside. Oh, there's contact with Suphrize Meh, and the Sauber is round after a very strong qualifying from the Sauberman, who had such a strong performance in China as well. That is not how he wanted to start this Spanish Grand Prix, but the Flying Finn, he's had a strong first lap. Cupid and Limitless battling behind has allowed him to get a little bit of a gap, but Cupid and Limitless as well actually are still within touching distance as Martin has rejoined again. He appears to be having some fairly major issues with his connection, but now it's Raikkonen on the back of Jason, and he is slowly gaining in the slipstream around the outside at turn 1. He's going to try and go so much later on the brakes. Has he got the grip to hold it all the way around the outside? Yes, he does. What a move from Raikkonen, and Jason is now almost outside of the points. He's the only runner to score points in China after Limitless's dramatic exit, and he's on course to only score 1 today, and Martin is again back in the session. This is not an ideal start to his race.
Yeah, things have gone very, very strange for Martin, and for the eagle-eyed viewers, they may be noticing that it actually said he was already on lap 3, as Burnout F1 actually letting a couple of drivers through. He's getting blue flags. That is because of the glitch that's going on with Martin. We don't have tons of time to talk about that because there is a lot of racing going on here. The two Manners going side by side. Once again, Falcon up the inside on Franglish. StreeZ trying to get involved as well. Shoots around the outside of that turn 10 hairpin that Ali called out as a good overtaking spot, and he makes good use of that. And Suphrize Meh is now up into another position. He just took Kubica, I believe that was. But back on board with the 2 lead Mercedes cars. Cupid has caught back up to his teammate, the Flying Finn, as we come to the end of lap 2 to start lap number 3. DRS activated now, but of course the detection line was way back there. Cupid moves to the right-hand side. It looks like the Finn's really not going to fight that too hard. He doesn't defend the inside line. Cupid similarly doesn't move over and block his teammate, so some good teamwork going on there, as TRL Williams now is trying to make a move on Reversal, the other Ferrari of Burnout F1, into the pits for a set of medium compound tires, and Martin trying to scythe his way through the Ferrari and the Red Bull as they go battling into turn 1, and TRL Martin, unsurprisingly, has the pace to get by both of them fairly quickly. So he does gain a couple of positions there. So I'm not sure of his exact position at the moment, but it is definitely outside the points. He's not going to be scoring any points based on his current position. Looks like he's P14 at the moment, so he's actually just behind CR63 in the background there. On board, though, with Lucky Dog 2000 now in the Toro Rosso, he's just outside the points. He's got TRL Hamilton up ahead, and he was close enough to actually pick up the DRS here, but I think he's going to be more concerned about Stu in the background there, and he is carrying a lot of speed. Heavy slipstream there. Oh, the switchback from the Force India driver does move him up a position. Very nice move from Stu there.
Yeah, it was indeed a really nice cutback through turn 10, which is proving a particularly popular overtaking opportunity earlier on in this race. Yeah, and Raikkonen now all the way up into P8 on a set of medium tyres. He's in a very strong position to score some good points. A one stop is very easy if you do medium hard, and Jason, his tyres aren't looking great and his front wing is not looking great either. That's not going to stop him from attacking Raikkonen on the next lap into turn 1, and then this has surprised me, had that incident on lap 1 in the final sector, closing up on AOR Reversal, who's also a long way down the order early on, and surprised me, that is not really what you want to be braking for turn 1. He's had to cut turn 2, and Reversal is able to get the position back, and now it's Raikkonen versus Hamilton into turn 4, and Raikkonen trying to hang around the outside, and I think he's managed to pull that one off, has he? Hamilton's still on the outside, but backs out of that one fairly sensibly, and Raikkonen almost losing 2 positions in the space of 1 sector.
And if I'm not mistaken, actually, how did it work out with Martin? So all of these guys are ahead of a position where they should be. So actually, Falcon right now is 6th and Franglish is 5th. Is that right?
Something along those lines. But one of the managers has had some fairly severe issues, and that was Franglish. He's way off at turn 9.
Yeah, so everybody is 1 position higher. Everybody that's in front of Martin is actually 1 position higher than it's actually saying right now. As we get the replay now from the Flying Finn's point of view, I just kind of want to see what happens with Martin here, and really can't see anything from that point of view, but here we go, on board with Martin. Yeah, he's just sitting there. Really not much he could do, but yeah, go ahead and talk us through the rest of these replays, AliK.
Well, this is on board with Suphrize Meh. He had a lag start, what we generally refer to as a lag start. Gets hit from behind, where his lights go out later than everyone else due to some strange connection issues, which we've seen far too often already in this race. This is RS Falcon, who has some fairly speedy reactions to get out of the way of the Sauber, and that allows the top 3 to just get away very cleanly and pull a fairly sizable gap to the rest of the field. And this is Kubica, who just has a wall of smoke in front of him, and then not before long he has a wall of Force India in front of him, and he smashes into the back of his teammate, loses his front wing. And honestly, I don't know what it is with the smoke on this game. It's ridiculous the amount of smoke you get off the start, and there's another loss of front wing for Burnout F1. Nothing you could have done about that one. And this is Raikkonen looking down the inside of Lucky Dog. That's aggressive. Does he manage to make this one stick? Yes, he does. That was a very aggressive lunge from the Williams driver, and as I said, he's looking very strong early on. And then this is Kubica coming to the pits at the end of lap 5 to fit a new front wing. He took those tight. Well, he took his lack of front wing quite a long way. That was a red front wing, I believe that was. So he's done, yeah, that's quite a lot of laps with no front wing. And then this is Raikkonen attacking Jason into turn 1, and he manages to get this one done fairly nicely. Jason tries to cut back, but the inside is definitely the line you want to have into turn 1, and this is Martin trying to side his way through the field, trying to get down the inside of the Toro Rosso, who leaves him a lot of space there. And there's something strange going on with the blue flags here, and then this is Burnout being overtaken by the Haas, and that is up to P13 now for TRL Martin after some strange issues, and then Burnout deciding to take an unorthodox line through turn 3, so an eventful start to say the least.
Yeah, holy cow, that must have been a scary moment there for Burnout. But back on board with the race leader. I know it says P2, everybody, but he is in fact the race leader, and Cupid takes out the bollard on his way into the pit lane entrance. He is very aggressive as the Flying Finn continues on for another lap, as does Limitless. And it looks like, yeah, everybody else, in fact, Cupid really the only one coming in here at the early stop, end of lap 6 for a set of the medium compound tires. Not sure if he's going to be able to go to the end on that one. And meanwhile, CR63 has Martin going past him. So Martin now up into P10. Yes, P10. He's making it very difficult for us here. Martin, already someone that makes things difficult for us by hiding his UI, but he's made things even more challenging for the commentators here today. Cupid, though, has fed out into 16th position, just behind TRL Williams, and that is really not where he wants to be. He's got a lot of traffic to try and navigate his way through. CRL Hamilton, though, and Jason97 F1 doing battle into turn number 5. Jason looking like he wanted to do a switchback, but it didn't quite work out for him. Tucked in underneath the gearbox of Hamilton up ahead of him, and all the while Stu actually closing in on these guys as Jason just gets that understeer through the corner up the hill and gets the DRS opened. The tires are looking pretty worn already, into the 60% range or so for the Renault driver, so he may be coming into the pits fairly shortly. Back on board with Falcon, who's still in 4th position as it stands right now, actually, so that car just ahead of him would actually give him a podium, so I'm sure Falcon is going to be very focused right now. Meanwhile, his tires are looking a lot better as well, not even at 60%. Front right, I think, was at 30-something%, so Falcon's looking good on the tires. The car ahead dives into the pits. The Williams dove into the pits, so now Falcon moves into 3rd, which would be a fantastic result, not just for him, but for the Manor team in general, as our very laggy brother here, Martin, comes into the pits, fits a set of the hard compound tires. Oh, and that's a very long stop. Had to wait for the Sauber, as the Sauber heads in to get his set of tires. Then we've got a Renault up at the top right into the pits. I believe that is Jason that's gone on for a set of the hards, and back on board with AOR Raikkonen, and he's got Falcon up ahead. Again, that's a podium position just ahead of him, so actually both Williams going very well so far in today's race. But yeah, I have to imagine Raikkonen is pretty motivated at this moment.
Yeah, he's looking on for a really strong result here. I mean, he's managed to negotiate the traffic very nicely. He's going to be on a very easy one-stop strategy as well. Starting on the mediums is definitely the ideal strategy if you can manage it. So he's looking on for a very strong result. We're thinking pitting about lap 8 or around this lap now, you can go to the end on a set of hard tyres. So I imagine these guys, the Flying Finn and TRL Limitless, is not that far behind at all, are going to be taking a set of hards to the end of the race from here on Cupid. You saw earlier fit the medium tyres, so I would guess he's either going double medium or medium hard to the end of the race, and he will definitely be on a 2-stop strategy. So the Mercedes cars deciding to split the strategy. Interestingly, it'll be interesting to see how that one works out, because they are 2 very different strategies and there's quite a long pit lane time, so I would imagine that the one-stop is likely going to be the faster strategy. But obviously Cupid is going to have a massive undercut, and Limitless has been held by the Manor. That is Falcon, I believe, who's coming in for a set of soft tyres.
Softs.
That's an aggressive strategy from Falcon. I mean, we like to see people going for aggressive strategies, and that is what Falcon is definitely trying to do. I mean, it was a very late pit stop to fit a set of softs even, and that is, who's that? That's StreeZ just in front of him. That's a big undercut for StreeZ.
Yeah, and Stu onto the back of Hamilton. So all of these guys still yet to pit, of course. Raikkonen currently leading the race, so effectively Hamilton in 2nd. On board with Jason 97 F1. He's making his way out of turn 2. It's an interesting line. Oh, that's a very slow-moving Sauber up ahead as well. Surprised me. And, contact between the two of them. That's going to be some minor damage to the front right end plate of the front wing of that Renault. So he's definitely going to be missing some downforce, particularly in high-speed left-hand corners, of which there aren't many, actually. Turn 7 is maybe one where he'll be missing that little piece of end plate, but 6 Skills has reversal for company all over the back of that Toro Rosso. Cupid not far behind, again, already stopped, and actually Reversal's not even going to bother to fight that. That's interesting. I wonder if he's going to try and use the toe from Cupid here in order to get by 6 Skills, or maybe he's just hoping that 6 Skills is going to head into the pits. Not really sure, but just outright moving to the side of the road for the pole man, TSR Cupid, who does pick up the DRS and the slipstream and easily slices his way past 6 Skills. No troubles whatsoever. Nice, easy maneuver for Cupid up into P6, that was. TRL Limitless now coming under attack from StreeZ, and again, I have to say, the Williams car is going very well in this Spanish Grand Prix indeed, and with those medium compound tires is able to swoop up the inside at turn number 1 and take that P12 off of Limitless. I don't know where Martin is at the moment. I think he's behind, so yeah, I believe that is actually P11, so yeah, never mind, I was wrong about that. But again, here is our current effective race leader at the moment with AOR Raikkonen, who again started on these medium compound tires, but like you said, Ali, and I gotta agree with you, I as far as strategy, starting on these mediums, I think is gonna really play a heavy hand later in the race.
But I'm just looking at in the bottom right, and his next selected tyre is a set of the soft compound tyres, which seems like a very strange strategy call to me. I mean, we've seen Falcon already go for the aggressive strategy of going for another set of softs, but you've got to imagine that the one-stop is faster. We've seen it a couple of times this season, particularly Australia. The one-stop is, at most tracks, the fastest strategy on this game, so you would assume that most drivers would be wanting to do that at this track, as this is 6 Skills who's taking, again, another unorthodox line through that final chicane, and AOR Reversals were able to get through, but now we're going to be going 3 wide into turn 1, are we? As Cyril Hamilton gets past Raikkonen, and Stu gets past Raikkonen, and AOR Raikkonen has dropped 2 positions in one corner, and Cupid now down the inside of CR63 is making speedy progress on those mediums. He's really got to be going very, very quickly at this stage to actually make his strategy work. He can't get held up in this traffic at all. He's got to be overtaking people left, right and centre. He's got to pull a pit stop gap on the Flying Finn, which is easier said than done, I think.
Yeah, undoubtedly. Raikkonen, though, still hanging on to the back of Hamilton and Stu after they made that kind of double overtake on him, both of them getting by at turn 1 at the beginning of the lap, but Raikkonen doing well to stick with them. Stu with a minor mistake at the exit of turn 7 entry to turn 8 or so. That's going to put Raikkonen all over the back of him as they come down the back DRS straight now. Falcon in the Manor is on those softs, and see, this is why that might not have been the best call. If you're going to run 2 sets of softs, it might have been better to save that second set of softs for the end of the race rather than for the middle right here. But he does, no, I was going to say he makes quick work of Limitless, but no, breaks a little bit too late and goes very, very deep, and Limitless just comes right back through. But, I mean, after he gets by Limitless, he's got 2 more cars up ahead of him that he's going to have to get through as well. So I'm not sure about that strategy call for him to come in the Manor and fit that set of softs. Don't really know that that was the best idea, but these camera shots being brought to us by Alonso, STS F1 Alonso. He's actually the camera guy. I said he dropped out earlier, but actually he was just the camera guy, so that was my mistake. But back on board with Stu, who is effectively second place right now. AOR Raikkonen not far behind, though. He's not going to make any sort of lunges or anything into turn 4 here, but it's all looking pretty controlled for these guys that started on the medium compound tires. Reversal in 7th position at the moment on the hards, and did he start on those hards? Yes, he did start on these hards, right? Yeah. So Reversal doing well. One of the few people, possibly the only person to start on the hards, and I've commentator cursed him. That's my fault. I take full responsibility for that one. Cupid, though, wow, you really do not see many overtakes at turn 9. Reversal is off into the gravel. My curse apparently appears to be working perfectly, working as intended right now for the Red Bull driver. I mean, he's not even getting back on circuit. Here we go. He is finally getting back on circuit, but I think possibly the Red Bull driver just writing off this entire... I mean, yeah, now he's not even... Yeah, I mean, he's got some front wing damage, but I think this is him possibly pulling over and into retirement, which is very unfortunate for the Red Bull driver. It's been a difficult season for AOR Reversal after some fantastic standout performances, I would say, in Season 12. It just really has not gone his way this season.
No, it hasn't at all. He had that heartbreaking incident in the final few laps in Australia, and clearly this race has gone so badly that he's decided to do his best Snowy impression, and then Burnout F1 has lost it into a wall in the final section. This is Limitless making short work of TRL Williams, and then Falcon following him through as well. Falcon's really got to get past Limitless here. He's got to make the most of these soft tyres to make his strategy work. Is he going to go for a lunge here? No, quite sensibly, he is going to stick behind that Renault car. He's got to get past those sooner or later, because I think that's StreeZ in front, who is also on a 2-stop strategy just like Falcon. So he's got to get close to that Williams, and he's got to be making moves fairly quickly. And then this is back with TSR Cupid. He is absolutely flying. He's now on the back of AOR Icon, another car that he makes short work of. He's made so many overtakes in this race, and he's going to have to make so many more as well. And all of these guys who started on the mediums, I think, unless they go for a slightly odd strategy, have got one more stop to make. So they are essentially in net position there. That isn't... They haven't... Well, they've got the same amount of stops as the guys behind to make, and this is Falcon going around the outside of turn 1. That's a very nice move from the Manor driver after Franglish had some kind of issues earlier on his teammate. So it's good to see one of the Manor cars rolling up in the points, and then this has surprised me. He also had an issue on lap 1. Is up into P10, I believe. And then this is Jason, who's got front wing damage again. Oh, what has gone on there? A big shunt between a Sauber and a Haas into turn 1. Again, Jason, another driver who decides to turn off driver names very helpfully for us. And you can see his front wing is not in the greatest of states, and he had some front wing damage early on as well. So he will be cursing that front right end plate, which I believe he's damaged twice on 2 separate front wings in this race.
And on board with Raikkonen, currently in 3rd position, holding on to that podium after TSR Cupid managed to get by. But the Flying Finn is now the car behind, and Raikkonen's tires are definitely past their best, no doubt about it. 65% on the front left, unsurprisingly, as turns 9, 3, 4, 16, you know, all of these corners extremely punishing. Turn 12 right here, very punishing on the front left as well. So Stu now up into 11th position. I do believe Martin is ahead of those guys, so their positions are actually displaying correctly. Limitless with the DRS on RS Falcon after Falcon made that fantastic move around the outside on the lap prior. Limitless just comes right back through, and you have to say those softs are likely past their best as well. So Falcon, I think, is going to struggle. Even if he does get by Limitless once again, he's certainly going to struggle to pull a gap as Limitless came in at the end of lap 8, so he's not even 7 laps into that set of hard compound tires, so those are going to be holding up pretty well there. CR63, I imagine, was the Sauber that we saw spinning off previously, and he's gone for another spin, and he's taking Killer Whale into the barrier with him. That's going to be some minor damage for CR63's front wing. I'm not sure what sort of damage Killer Whale has sustained, but it's fairly obvious that he's got some form of damage. Oh, and AOR Raikkonen, his front left is getting very scary here. End of lap 15, and there's only 18 laps. If he's not coming in, I mean, in my opinion, he should have come in last lap, because he's already done 15 laps on this set of mediums, and there's only 18 to go. So certainly I would have come in at the end of 14 if that were me, but that's why AOR Raikkonen is in a podium position, and I'm just the guy doing the commentary. But into the pits he goes for his... Wait a minute, did that say soft and then hard? That was interesting. No, it is in fact the hards that are going on. Okay, I thought he was changing strategy for a brief moment there. Sub 2-second pit stop for the Williams boys, gets him back out nice and quickly. And you have to say, again, things are looking good for the Williams cars. Stu trying to get an extra point from TRL Hamilton as they start lap number 18 and can't quite find a way through. And he does need to worry because AOR Raikkonen on those brand new hard compound tires is right behind him, Ali.
Yeah, Raikkonen looking good. He's on the freshest tyres of anyone in this group. This little group of Hamilton, Stu and Raikkonen who all started outside the top 10, all doing the same medium-hard strategy, and they're all converging on each other at this stage of the race. And Raikkonen, the man with the one-lap fresher tyres than both Hamilton and Stu. So you've got to say Raikkonen, despite not having track position, is in prime position to nick what is... I'm not entirely sure what net position is going to be, because these guys obviously going to the end, and the people in a couple of people in front still have to make their final stop. So... again, it's going to be interesting to see how that works out, as Hamilton has gone off-roading on the exit of turn 9 and lost 2 positions. That is a free position for both Raikkonen and Stu, and a lot of time lost for Cyril Hamilton there. He's going to have gravel on his tyres even for the next couple of corners, which is going to slow him down severely. And then RS Falcon really has tortured that set of soft tyres. And you can see Limitless is a little way off in the distance as he's close to that pit wall, cutting it very fine on the entry. But you really got to question that soft strategy call, because Limitless is, well, he fitted the hards and was able to make a better stint out of that one. So again, possibly not the best strategy call from the Manor driver. He's going to be flying on this set of mediums, but he's going to come out well down the order. He's got a lot of work to do in the final quite a few laps of this race. Still got a lot of laps to make at the positions, but yeah, he's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, he's going to be P12. Yeah, he's going to come out P12 with a decent gap up ahead. Jason97 F1 comes in for what you would assume is going to be his final stop at the end of lap 18 for a 15-lap stint on the set of mediums, which we've already seen is possible, even starting the race on heavy fuel. So certainly with light fuel, he should have no problem. Raikkonen and Stu both very aggressive into that turn 5. Lots of smoke coming off. CRL Hamilton, despite that mistake earlier, is right on the back of AOR Raikkonen. And again, Raikkonen with the fresher tires as well, having to do a bit of counter steering as he came out of turn 8 there to line himself up for that run into turn 9. TSR Cupid comes in for his second and final stop, and it looks like not quite as close to the barrier for him, but he does manage to get it all slowed down, and it'll be interesting to see what sort of tires he's going for. Yeah, unsurprisingly, it is the mediums with a 14-lap stint still to do on those. That should be no problem for him. Limitless continues on the hards, moves up into 3rd position. Again, Martin is still classified as the leader of this race, but he is most definitely not the leader of this race, as anybody who is watching will agree. And in fact, speak of the devil, he shall appear. Martin goes around the outside, just about. No, he's still alongside, side by side through turn 2. No, but Cupid actually gets him fairly easily there. But the real problem here is that now Cupid is going to be getting black flags, or blue flags, not black flags, blue flags.
Yeah, definitely blue ones.
Yep, he'll be getting some blue flags, but he can just ignore those as far as what I have been told about this situation. So Cupid can just continue on and pretend as if Martin is on the same lap as him. So Martin now up into P7. Despite that really terrible start. Oh no! Oh, and Raikkonen and Hamilton have come to grief at turn 1 under braking. The McLaren makes contact with the back end of the Williams. He goes for a spin and loses a position as well. TSR Cupid regains, and that is that penalty. So you can ignore the penalty that you're seeing on your screen. For Cupid, he is not actually getting these penalties. They're not actually going to be
can't ignore
counted.
that one though. That one corner cut.
Oh right, yeah, the corner cut one. Yeah, that's legitimate. But yeah, the blue flag penalties you guys can go ahead and ignore. So Cupid does continue on. Stu is listed as the car behind, but of course Martin is the car behind. But move on board with Stu right now, and we can actually see that gap. Cupid and Martin just coming out of turn 5 as Stu is just making his way into turn 5. So a pretty significant gap up ahead for the Force India driver, and he doesn't really have a big gap behind. TRL Hamilton not far in the distance, and apparently is out for blood after that contact with AOR Raikkonen. He's seeming very aggressive, but Raikkonen thankfully didn't sustain any sort of damage as a result of that contact. He is continuing on in P8. Yes, that is... Oh, and that's a 3-second penalty for the Williams driver as AOR Raikkonen gets a little too eager on the curbing at the inside of turn 9, I believe that was. We've already cut away, but the Flying Finn currently leads this race, and it would be interesting to see what kind... I'm curious to see what tires he's going to go on to. Cupid, after making his final stop, is already up to 4th position, just outside, and of course Finn still needs to make one more stop. We think Finn still needs to make one more stop. He's got 11 laps still to go. Oh gosh, no, Finn is doing just the one stop, so Cupid is going to have to make the overtake on circuit. He's going to have to do it legitimately, but I mean, from the pace we've seen all day long from him, Ali, he might do it.
Well, you can never rule it out, but he's got a couple of cars between himself and his teammate, and his medium tyres will start going off towards the end of the race. The hards only get about 3% a lap around here, so I think the tyres are probably going to equal out towards the end. And this is RS Falcon, who's finally worked his way back up towards the points on those medium tyres on the back of Lucky Dog. He's trying to make this 2-stop strategy work. He's got to get past these cars very quickly and make the most of the fresh tyres while they still have life in them, and he can attack these guys who are mainly on the hard tyres in front of him. And maybe he could even be on the back of Stu and Seiyariu Hamilton come the end of the race, but Falcon going very aggressively through turns 7 and 8, the chicane, then through turn 9, really aggressively turning in there. You can see the extra grip he's got with those fresher tyres. Into Rich Mix, he's got the DRS. Can he make the move into turn 10? He's gone for a big lunge. Can he get it stopped, unlike the one against Limitless? Yes, he can. RS Falcon up into P9 with a sumptuous move into turn 10.
Yeah, that was lovely. Loved watching that. TRL Limitless does move up into 2nd position, so he's now the car behind the Flying Finn. We'll have a quick peek at how Jason97 managed to grab P14 off of CR63. They're still side-by-side through turn 2, but surely with the inside line, Jason is able to make that move. Jason97 now on the other Sauber. He's just overtaking Saubers left and right in the closing stages of this race. He's going to have to do it around the outside at turn 10. Incredible stuff. We've seen an incredible amount of overtakes at turn 9. I feel like we've actually seen the most overtakes of the race so far at turn 9. Limitless getting very aggressive with the inside curbing at that penultimate corner, and there's Cupid right onto the back of him. So now, in fact, the Flying Finn now only has one car as a buffer between himself and his flying teammate, and there goes that car as Limitless is completely powerless to stop the charge from the poleman TSR Cupid, who regains 2nd position in this race, and with 7 laps still to go, 8 laps still to go, excuse me. And yeah, he could potentially catch up to his teammate on those softer tires, potentially. We'll see what happens with that one. Falcon now onto the back of AOR Raikkonen. Let's see if he can make the same sort of move as he made before. No, not quite. Stu has StreeZ all over the back of him. Stu having a fantastic race. I mean, we've seen plenty of Stu, but it's not like he's been doing lots of overtakes. But man, side by side with StreeZ coming out of that corner. Oh, and StreeZ very late on the brakes, goes right around the outside and relieves Stu of that position. Incredible move right there. AOR Raikkonen, though, still has Falcon right behind him. Needs to worry about that manner, unquestionably, especially with Falcon being on those fresher tires. But, of course, Raikkonen's job is going to get a little bit easier lap after lap as those mediums begin to wear down, Alec.
Yeah, we saw on Cupid's tyre wear a couple of laps ago that his mediums were already pretty worn. You can see Falcon's as well. He's not being particularly easy on those mediums. They're going side by side into turn 10. Falcon trying to get a cutback line, but Raikkonen parking it on the apex well enough as Falcon gets all over that curb on the exit. sliding a little bit. That is not going to help his momentum at all as we come into this final sector. Again, Falcon running slightly wide onto the curbs, and this is Lucky Dog 2000 now, who is running in the final points paying position. He's on for 1 point here today, I believe, unless the timing screen is still a little bit confused, but I think he's on for
P10.
1 point. Yeah, he is on for 1 point today, which is a pretty strong drive for him. I mean, you can see Suphrize Meh is a little way back behind him, and then this is Raikkonen versus Falcon, round 2 into turn 1, not round 1, and then Raikkonen is able to defend the inside fairly nicely, and Falcon cannot find a way through, but he's got an almighty run out of turn 2, trying to get a cutback line through turn 3. Surely he can't go to the outside here. Is Raikkonen going to go defensive? No, he's not. Falcon trying to open up turn 4 as much as possible, swooping in from the outside, the far left-hand side of the track, and he's not quite close enough to go for a move into turn 5, but this is Stu. He's running in a strong position, but StreeZ has disappeared off down the road. Maybe the medium tyres are the right tyres to be on at this stage of the race, and maybe if StreeZ can pull away from Stu that much, maybe Cupid can catch his teammate.
Yep, anything is possible, and surprisingly, I would say all of the tires are holding up better than I expected anyway. Here comes Falcon once again on AOR Raikkonen. Nope, can't quite get the inside line on that one. Raikkonen does brake very late there. It's almost like he was expecting a lunge and was expecting to have to go around the outside of that corner, but no. He was able to get on the brakes late enough to keep Falcon behind, but man, the Manor is just all over the back of him as they come through Sector 3 and onto the start-finish straight. He's going to be very, very close. He just really needs to hook up the final couple of corners, and then he could easily breeze past the Williams here of AOR Raikkonen. There's the DRS. He's picking up that slipstream. Raikkonen defends the inside line. The Manor is closing at an incredible rate of knots, but I don't think it's going to be enough. He does get enough to go alongside, around the outside, but then goes wide. He'll have to leave room on the outside, and surely Raikkonen is going to be able to hold on to that position. He does just about, but then the switchback from RS Falcon moves over to the right-hand side. He'll have the inside line now for turn number 4, braking for turn 4, and Raikkonen again very late on the brakes, sticks it around the outside. They're still side by side. The Manor is on the right-hand side coming down the hill towards turn 5, inside line for AOR Raikkonen, and again he manages to defend the position. Incredible defensive driving we're seeing here from AOR Raikkonen.
Yeah, we saw his defensive prowess last season in Brazil when he picked up his first ever podium, and he's demonstrating that once again today. He's doing an incredible job to keep RS Falcon behind him on those much fresher tyres. And this is crucial for Raikkonen because RS Falcon's tyres are going to start going off, so Falcon can't get track position soon. He's going to be really struggling towards the end of this race, but down the inside into turn 10, he was squeezed aggressively to the inside. Now he's got the inside. He's finally got that move done. There was just, Raikkonen didn't have enough grip to fight with there in the final sector, and it looks like Falcon for the moment has got that position done, but is Raikkonen going to be able to come back into turn 1? Can he get a clean run through the chicane? He can. He's lost a lot of time though, and Falcon, I think, is safe for now. Wow, there's a big gap to be pulled in 3 corners. That is incredible traction from the Manor driver, and I think for now he's safe.
Incredible stuff. The way he pulled away, he really felt like he parked it on the apex of turn 15 or 14. I'm not sure which one it was, but I mean, he really parked it. The Flying Finn, with just 2.5 laps remaining, or thereabout 2 2/3, as he comes to the end of Sector 1 on lap 31. Or is this actually technically lap 32? I think this is the penultimate lap of the race. No, not for these guys, I don't think.
Oh, puncture.
Oh, gosh, and Limitless. Oh, JD, what is going on, JD? Oh, no, he was having such a fantastic race, not just today, but in China as well, right up until the race ended, extremely prematurely for him. Yeah, he's got a puncture as Martin goes flying by, but Martin, I think, as well, is going to be picking up a puncture here.
Yeah,
his rear left, his rear left is at 84%. That is very dangerous. And especially as he comes into the low-speed Sector 3, where the rears are punished a lot with all that traction. 85% already, still with 1 lap left to complete as well. Yellow flags in Sector 2, we saw briefly there for a moment. Stu in P6, again, solid race for the Force India of Stu, and he's not far off of Limitless. Oh, has Limitless got the puncture? Oh, yeah, we already knew that Limitless got the puncture. I was worried about the other car, but Limitless is going to lose another position at the end of lap 31. I mean, he's going to have to come into the pits. Surely that's just going to drop him right out of any sort of points contention. And it's such a shame, Ali. I really think Limitless is driving as well as he's ever driven before. I mean, he's really on it, but just has had these really unfortunate races.
Yeah, well, you can say unfortunate to some extent, but he did lose it himself in China. It wasn't anyone else that hit him, and it's nobody else that's given him a puncture in Spain. So yes, you could say unfortunate in one sense, but again, he probably has to if I can even get some words out, he has to take some of the blame himself, because
certainly
it has been his mistakes at some point. He has absolutely munched through those tyres. Something he's probably got to learn, being quite used to the older games. This is very different from the likes of F1 2013 and 14, when he was so quick on those games, challenging for titles in Season 9 and Season 10. It's very different from those games, and I don't know whether he's taking a lot longer to adjust than the rest of the drivers, but he's definitely had quite a few issues both last season and at the start of this season, which is a bit unfortunate for him, as we're now watching the Flying Finn coming through these final few corners.
Yep, Flying Finn through turn 16, and that's Cupid as well is going to follow him behind, and I think... No, there's one more lap for those guys, actually. But I think it's going to be the end of the race for anyone that's behind Martin. Yeah, so Martin is going to take the checker flag and incredibly not pick up a puncture. So whatever Martin does differently from Limitless that allows him to drive around at an 88% on the rear left, he might need to teach that to him or something, although I know he never will. But Falcon crosses the line in 7th. Suphrize Meh after a disappointing start, qualified on the 2nd row of the grid. Did the Sauber of Suphrize Meh, so it's, you have to say probably a disappointing result for him. He's got to be wondering what could have been. Limitless is another one that has to be wondering what could have been as well for him, as he's going to cross the line. And Jason, difficult race for him as well, especially being 4th in the championship, if memory serves me correctly. So, but it is now the final lap, if I can speak. I mean, we're both struggling here today, Ali. But they're going to come through the final corner, take the checker flag. It's a Mercedes 1-2 with the Flying Finn leading Cupid on the way home, which means he is going to extend that championship points lead over TRL Martin, who understandably had a bit of an insane race, but still managed to actually get 15 points in the end, despite all of the ridiculousness that went on for the Red Bull driver. In the end, around 10 seconds or so, because of all the timing issues, we're not entirely sure, but around 10 seconds or so, the gap between the Flying Finn and Cupid, and that is because of penalties partially being applied. StreeZ as well in 4th position. Stu moves up into 5th position as a result of Hamilton's penalties, I assume, maybe, and then RS Falcon, though, taking home some well-deserved points for the Manor team in 7th. AOR Raikkonen, he's got to be wondering what could have been. Surely he could have been up there in 6th, I would think, but he also picked up 6 seconds worth of penalties for him. So Suphrize Meh and Lucky Dog 2000 now rounding out the top 10 and those that scored points. TRL Williams in the Ferrari just outside the points. In fact, both Ferraris outside the points. I know it was a difficult day as well for Bernard F1 down in 19th, one of the DNFs, along with Reversal, Franglish, Killer Whale, and Kubica. And again, the 2 Renaults, what a difficult day for the Renaults. That's got to be really frustrating. 12th and 13th, not a single point to bring home for the banana cars, and 6 skills as well, sandwiched in between the Renaults and the Sauber of CR63, as those guys fail to score any sort of points. So yeah, in the championship though, it is quite a bit different from what we saw heading into this round, Ali, with a 16-point gap at the top.
Yeah, the Flying Finn will be feeling much more comfortable after that race, and TRL Martin still maintains 2nd place after what can only be described as one of the most bizarre races I've ever witnessed, after some very, very strange things going on and lagging out multiple times. But incredibly, Martin came back to P3 in that race, and it was very much damage limitation from that point onwards, and he has rescued that very nicely, in all fairness to him. TSR Cupid, after finishing 2nd place, still maintains 3rd in the championship, and despite scoring no points, Jason's still up in 4th actually. And then we had Lucky Dog down at the bottom scoring his first points. A decent points haul for AOR Raikkonen as well, and the same can be said for RS Falcon. So a couple of guys getting off the board, and some of the guys who are lower in the table picking up a couple of points to kickstart their season. And then looking at the Constructors' Championship, it is dominant display so far from Mercedes. Cupid and the Flying Finn really running away with that one. And then in 2nd place, it is Red Bull, with TRL Martin scoring the majority of points for that team. Reversal not having the greatest of seasons so far, and Renault pretty high up in 3rd place despite not scoring any points today. Williams, the reigning Constructors Champions, in 4th place, only 3 points ahead of McLaren Honda, who in turn are only 2 points ahead of Force India. And then we've got Haas, Sauber and Ferrari rounding out the teams. But yeah, strange race, and I imagine Monaco will see a couple of crashes as well.
Yeah, strange is an understatement for sure, but yeah, that's going to do it for the Spanish Grand Prix. Thank you guys ever so much for watching. We will see you next time for the jewel in the F1 crown, the Monaco Grand Prix. Thanks for joining us from Ali and myself and Fisi and Chris. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.